opportunities and obstacles from former athletes with the thought process of giving the future generation a better understanding of the game.
Yes, these conversations are meant to bring awareness to the possibilities and the hardships of the game. Let's get game related. Okay, guests, today we have a special guest, a good brother of ours, a good friend of ours. We played basketball together in college. Um, he don't know, but he was one of the factors that made me go to Niagara University. Because when I came there, he was the one who showed me around, and we connected and had a really good friendship. Um, and 13 seasons playing overseas.
Y'all gave me too much. It's only 10. 06 to 15.
Okay. 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 That was
My bad. I forgot to tell that.
On my part, but 10 years. Anyway, great career. Definitely a good guy. Welcome to Game Related, James Mathis.
My brothers, man. My guys, man. What's good?
Welcome. All right, so one of the things that we always start a lot of the interviews off with, one of the questions, we always say, most people are focused on becoming successful. But the thing is, handling success, that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Like, what advice can you share regarding that and just how you maintain that?
I think you got to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. You know what I mean? I think that everybody needs to make a clear goal. And once you have a clear goal, I think that will provide clarity on what you're trying to do. So a lot of times I feel, just in my upbringing, I feel like, and seeing things the way I played, a lot of people are kind of after chasing the wrong things. You know what I mean? So when you chase the wrong things come to you. So, there's a lot of
chasing. What you mean, like chasing?
I think people are chasing attention more than anything. I think people are chasing attention more than even being rich or anything like that. And I think attention is a killer in all aspects of life. I think that when you do the right things, attention to come to you organically. Like I don't look for attention at all, but my city love me everywhere I go. I'm respected, but I'm not necessarily looking to be the loudest person. My personality dictates what comes to me, but I do it from my heart. I'm not doing it for attention. And I think attention is attention creates comparison. Comparison is killer all joy. Whatever your role is, you got to learn what your niche is and learn how to perfect it. And again, it'll all depend on what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So whatever your goal is, whatever you after, your intentions truly have to be pure in that. And I think that's really a mainstay in becoming successful. What are your intentions? What are you trying to do? If your goal is to get rich, that's cool too, but it should be about the work that it takes in order to get there, not that you're doing it so that people can validate who you are. I think that that's a big killer of aspirations and things like that. Like not making the intention, what are you trying to do? And since we're trying to give game to the next generation, intention comes later on in life sometimes. Like it's like I think that me being older now and working in the school system, I try to tell guys who are 14 years old, like, what are you trying to do? And they don't necessarily understand what I'm asking them. You know what I mean? And I think back to me being 14. So my question to them is, well, in 5 years, what type of person do you want to be? What would you like to have? And then if you can decipher what you want to have, then what are the steps necessary for you to get those things? So once you figure out what your intentions are, I think that you are able to find ways in order to make that happen.
And one more question on that, right? So we talked about you, like figuring out what you want to do, but how would you say, like, handling, like, some people got crews or posses or the people around them, like, how do you keep them level-headed enough or get them from not distracting you from your goals?
You don't. I think that one of the keys to life is learning to say no. The quicker you learn to say no, the better off you are. And that's anything that you're doing in your life. The quicker you can saying no also takes discipline, So we talked about it, and again, I'm not gonna sit here and say I was some sort of crusader. I ain't do this or I ain't do that, but if it's necessary for me to be asleep because I got to get to a workout in the morning, am I about to go out until 4 o'clock in the morning, off one? You know what I'm saying? So my discipline should say no, that I need to take care of my business. You know, your business, people are going to follow you regardless of what it is that you're doing. When you get that little, as Coach Mahalik said, like, some people got that little fairy dust on them. Some people are just different. People are going to follow you. You don't have to follow your boys, anybody around you who is trying to get you off your square. You know what I mean? So um, you learn how to say no, and again, whatever you chasing will follow you. And if people fall off as they're following you, then that's just what the intention was in the first place.
Mhm.
That was a long-winded way of saying that.
Yeah, no, but definitely with that discipline part, because and then being consistent and being disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Because you could do it for 2 months, 6 months, but like, that need to be depending on what it is, whatever you're trying to do, that need to be your lifestyle. Like, hey, I'm being this is my lifestyle.
Right.
That's how I operate. And then it'd be easy to see how people fall off then. Because you just operate like this, everybody ain't gonna be able to keep that same level of discipline up. That's gonna continue on with you. So
Yeah, I would say to that fact is somebody asked me, how did I make it so far? And one of my greatest lines is I kept showing up. You know, we had practice at 3 o'clock. I was ready for practice at 3 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not missing nothing. You told me I needed to be here. I'm here. That's part of becoming a professional. I might not be better than so and so, but you know that you can count on what horses going to do from here to here. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of being a professional when you get to those other stages in your career. When you go to college, are you going to be a dude who I have to worry about who's going to fail a drug test? Are you going to be a dude who I'm going to worry about if you were eligible? If I'm worried about you coming to practice a half hour late. So, the thing is, yeah, you need to be bigger than your problems, which is something that, people don't say out loud, but is the truth. But if it's at any part of even playing field, and there could be a choice that's made, then these are the other things that's going to happen to separate you. You know what I mean? And I think that when you're not the cream of the crop, even though we are the cream of the crop, you're a D1 basketball player. Once you get to that level, or once you consider to be on that level, there are certain things that are going to differentiate certain people, certain players, certain situations. Overseas, are you going to be arguing with people because they don't have your type of meal, or they don't, you don't like the way the uniform, or we got to take an 8-hour bus ride? Like, what kind of person are you? You know what I mean? So I think that plays a big part in that as well.
okay. So you're from North New Jersey. Now I don't really know too much about North New Jersey as far as basketball culture, but doing research, it's a lot of people from Jersey. Jason Williams, Kyrie, Bibby, Tim Thomas, Carl Anthony Towns. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Shaq.
I mean, that's debatable. He was born.
Military.
Yeah, he had military.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
I,
right.
I always say you from the city that you went to high school in. So it don't matter if you stayed here till you was 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? Where did you grow up at? So that's where you from.
Yeah,
But he claims Newark. His grandmother actually lived on my block.
Okay.
He renovated his grandmother's house, so I was down the house from Shaq's grandmother's house, and seeing that was amazing. And um, like Jersey basketball is a different world. I don't think Jersey basketball really gets the credit that it deserves on a national scale. But every time you look up, it's a dude from Jersey somewhere hooping. It's a different environment. Newark is I've never been, no disrespect to any other place, but I feel like Newark is unique in its own right. You got the street aspect of the hoops that protects the athlete part of the hoops, and being an athlete and having that love from the outside. They take care of you. The people take care of you. The people want you to succeed. Um, the scene in Newark is unique. We got Branchbrook, we got the programs, we got everything, man. And And I love North Hoops, man. The only thing in North Hoops is it's a lot of, again, it comes back to the certain thing. Like, I feel like people don't give people they flowers in Jersey because again, everybody wants to be deemed, oh, I had this or I had that. I've seen people like tell a guy who played in the league from the city, like, yo, you only average 3 points in the league. And I'm saying to myself, like, you know how hard it is to get to the league, bro? Like 3 points in the league is worth, you know, so again, yeah, yeah. Guys think that, because they can make a shot in the wild that they could go play pro. But, it's the North scene is highly competitive, but it's highly competitive because it's dog eat dog too. You know what I'm saying? Again, like I said, the two aspects of inner city basketball, the street side and then the player side kind of combines, and then you get into those sorts of things. And then I was fortunate to go to St. Benedict's Prep. I played for Coach Hurley, who was the head coach at UConn. They just won the national championship. And he definitely got me ready to go to college because
which Hurley was that?
The Danny who went to
Danny Hurley.
Yeah, Danny who coaches UConn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was his first dude to go to college. He came in my senior year, and the program was definitely ran different immediately.
And that was what we was thinking. But I was like, I wanted to know, like, how was that being a player for playing for Hurley? Because this is a legendary coach. He's well known. So I'm like, when he came in, I was wondering, like, program change. Did he bring in all new players? Like, was practice and everything way more competitive? Was the school on a microscope? Like, what was that?
So that was a wild time. So Danny there's Coach Knight, big Coach Knight, pause, who was at the coach of St. Anthony's in Jersey City. So he's the dad, he's the legend in the city. He coached at Jersey City, TOC. In Jersey, the tournament is set up differently too. Like, you know how most states there's seven state champions. In New Jersey, they got to call it. It used to be something called the Tournament of Champions, where if you won your section or your version of your state championship, everybody got to meet up and play now for one chip, which was dope. Unfortunately, I went to Unfortunately, I went to the one place in the state that couldn't do that because I went to a prep school. So when you asked me the question about that, I played for the North Rams. The North Rams pretty much ran my prep school at one point in time. I don't know how, the players who played for the Rams went to this particular prep school. When Coach Hurley came in, that changed.
Rams was the AU.
Yeah, I played for the North Rams. We was Adidas.
Is that like
Adidas
Tim Thomas players?
No. So Tim Thomas was they had everybody in the state, and then the North Rams, we had an Adidas deal, but it was the kids. It was that next, to be honest, it was the next tier off. It was the city dudes who didn't get that look. You know what I mean? We were a different type of group. We went places and people knew we were coming, but it might not have necessarily been for the best of reasons. But we definitely competed. We definitely, we brought our lunch pail to it. And when Coach Hurley came, the guys who I played with the year before weren't around anymore. I was the only guy left from the year before. And not only that, I had ruptured my patella tendon my junior year, so I didn't play my junior year. And to have this new coach coming in was madness. But that team I played for my senior year wound up having 7 dudes go D1. The year after I left, J.R. Smith came in, and then there's been numerous guys to come through those doors who are high-level D1 guys, pros. A bunch of D1. It's still a D1 program. It's a factory, and I'm definitely proud to say that I played for.
Question for you, right? So, and when we got to college, like your spin work was crazy, right? Like when was that introduced? Because like down here we get to the bucket, stuff like that. But like I feel like up there in Jersey, like that's something that y'all learned as a youngster, right?
So I can't really speak for anybody else's experience. I bowled my entire life. My parents were bowlers. They met in a bowling alley, and then like angles made sense to me. Like that's how I always equated it. Like I bowl a certain type of way. I know if I spin the ball this way, this is what's supposed to happen. I know that sounds weird, but I play baseball, so I got like a certain hand-eye coordination. And then two, I got a brother who's 10 years older than me, and he could jump, and and we play outside, so shooting jump shots and stuff is not really our forte. You got to get to the rim, and then being smaller than everybody else, you got to make angles to shoot shots. And being 10 years old, playing my brother who's 20 years old, then being 14 and playing my brother who's 24, going to the park, going to Hillside Central and these places to hoop. You just had to learn angles because dudes was athletic. You go to the hole, you getting elbowed in the chest and all this other sort of stuff. So that's why I feel like I made and ones at a crazy level, because contact didn't bother me, because I had dudes elbowing me in the chest trying to knock you down, punk you, do this and that. And so the angles just kind of came to me personally. I know that everybody has their own story about how they got to that point, but for me personally, like I said, I learned angles and just being smaller and being, even though I'm 6'6", I'm small. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand that too about hoops. Being smaller, you got to create angles when you're playing against dudes who can jump to the top of the backboard. You can't just put the ball in the square. You know what I mean? And then it also opens up a lot of moves and things that you can create, because even though I make this spin move and I'm all the way out, almost outside the paint when I shoot it, I can shoot a layup off the side, spin it, and then it'll go right in. But I can't teach you how to do it. It's just something that
because I could never figure out how to do it. Oh my God. I used to be like, man, that go over there. It just dropped over here.
Yeah, I used to be in Europe, and I had dudes who come to me like, man, I've been playing pro for 15 years. I never seen that before. I can't. And then again, like I said, it doesn't make sense to me that you don't understand what I'm doing. But it's the same thing as you are a shooter. You see the floor a certain type of way. I'll never be able to see the floor you do. You can sit there and explain to me point guard play at a high level, but I can't fathom what you really like, what you really looking at. What's your reason for looking at it? Like you could try to explain it, you know what I'm saying? Like Rennie, you shot 10 threes a game. I would think I was out of my mind if I shot 10 joints, 10 threes a game. Like that is what it is, you know?
I'm sorry, I gotta cut this off. Look, there was a point I was just telling everybody offline how I got my first start versus him. And in the beginning of the first half, I'm diving people off like crazy, right? And then they put this press on, and it was the first time really like I wasn't prepared for it. And I was turning that joint. I know you remember it because after the game, J Mount was so mad. And he came out of the locker room, was like, right, they was talking about me. And I felt bad, but just like you said, I couldn't break it down at the point, but like seeing it from my angle,
Right.
you would have been like, damn, okay, well, how do you decipher that? But
Right.
it's the same thing. But I just remember it because J-Bot was so pissed at me that game.
Nah, man, college is a wild place, man. Like college, like I don't even like when people ask me about college basketball. Like the reason why it's so different from the pros is because a lot of times you playing out of just straight fear. You know what I mean? Like guys don't understand that. Not fear is like you scared of somebody, but it's like Joe Pa told me to do something. Like Coach Mahalik said, we had to do this, so it got to get done. Like how is this not getting done? And then if we lose, we know like you playing just so like practice not fitting to be like he not going to be tripping all week. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to go 2-0 this weekend, fellas. Like what y'all talking about, man? We turning the ball over. You know how wild practice ought to be. Like we lost doing that. You lose games rebounding or somebody just trash you defensively. Practice is about to be wild. So again, and we had definitely some interesting characters. So I probably was mad at you, but it probably was built up frustration from a whole bunch of stuff that had happened previously. Yeah. I had some stinkers too, man. So yeah.
But going back to the culture in New Jersey, like who were guys that either looked up to or inspired you that was playing that you was like, that like you see Francis here. it was amazing seeing Francis destroy people on like playing on the pro-ams or just outside. And I know me when I was in high school, I used to wear both of the wristbands on top. That was a Francis thing. So like, who in North that was like that for you?
So unfortunately, like North again was his own world. So like I watched the pros or whatever, but looking back on it, I wasn't watching the game in a way that, I would hope that if I could talk to somebody, you know what I mean? I think you need somebody to teach you how to watch the game. In North, we had Okup, Kiwan, Lance. Again, these are just dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never really, the difference for me and what I tell people now when they're trying to teach their kids is make sure that they can see it with their own eyes. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is like how you get to see Steve Francis. Sometimes being able just to see that is like, oh, okay, I could it open up your mind to it. You know what I'm saying? My brother, Mark Jarrell Wright, he was in high school and had his own Puma commercial. And like just dudes I was around, wine. My man was the first dude who I seen like in fourth grade at St. Rocco's was his own world growing up where it was just in the trenches, but I only looked up to the 2 grades above me. There was never, again, except for the guys like my brother, Lance, Kiwan, and those sorts of dudes who I went to the Wild with. They let me get in the runs. All right, he could play. All right, now we looking for him to come, you know what I'm saying, come play. Um, but I never really had like that super, super guy. I didn't see Tim Thomas in person. I ain't know Tim Thomas was from Patterson until Tim Thomas was already in the league. You know what I mean? But I was from North, right? That's the thing that people, in a lot of inner cities, especially at the time before the internet, I think that's one of the advantages that the kids got now. They can see everything. Like who's out there, who you're looking for, what you're trying to measure up against. So if I'm one of the best dudes in North and I don't never leave the city limits, then I'm good. The first time I ever got exposed to dudes being better than me was my first day on campus at Niagara when we hoop, and I'm calling my brother and I'm saying, I don't belong here. The first time seeing Tremel Darton is a wild experience. The first time seeing Dave Brooks is a wild experience. The first time seeing Mook was a wild experience. Juan Mendez, and that was the time we had like 3 7-footers, like P Wet, the P Wet was jumping from the dotted lines off one leg. Like I never seen dudes do this. And I played, and again at St. Benedict's, we played a national schedule. Like I played against Brown in high school. We played against Luau Deng and Charlie Villanueva was in our conference. Like we played against Joakim Noah. But then when you get in the settings where there's not just one or two of these dudes, it's really 12 of y'all. You gotta reevaluate your situation real quick.
Yeah, it's real now.
Yeah.
So, all right. So speaking of that, so what made you pick Niagara?
Coach Mahalik called me and told me if I ain't signed today, he was pulling my scholarship.
They extorted you.
It was all love though. I came up there for my visit. I had like 2 other places I was trying to go visit. Coach Miles was like, look, man, we really want you, but you can either make this choice now or we gonna move on. And like I said, I had just came off a rupture in my patella tendon. I got 2 screws in my leg. Like if this don't go right, I could be winding up at a D3 school down the street, like, you know what I mean, quick. So go ahead, sign your letter of intent, and then if things change, things change. I mean, nowadays, back then it was taboo to sign your letter of intent and then go prep, which is ultimately what I was advised to do, but certain factors fighting against themselves kind of led me to being scared me into just showing up at Niagara. Now, it ultimately turned out to be probably one of the best decision I could have made for myself. I can't imagine hooping with different dudes, playing for another coach, not playing for Ock. You guys didn't get to meet Coach Alphas, but these dudes are so instrumental in my life. Like you my brother, y'all my brothers now. I can't imagine going through another route. But yeah, Coach Mahalik extorted me. He said, you could you could take the deal, or we gonna move on. I mean, he might not remember that it was those certain words, but that's the gist of our conversation that I remember. And it was after the conversation with my parents, and it was like, um, this is this is how you're going to college. Like there wasn't no fallback plan. There was no extra grades. There wasn't going to be no scholarship money. It wasn't going to be anything else. If you want to go to college, this is your opportunity to go. And, you know, when I saw Niagara on my visit again, you know, had a great time and met some cool people. I mean, my experience kind of changed during the course of time, but it wound up ultimately being the right place.
Yeah, so that's what I was definitely asking about the experience. I know, like, those are the things, like, how was the experience for you? I know for me, I had fun and it was cool, but then, it was things that I didn't enjoy too, though. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I had times where I was like, I don't know if I wanted to be up here anymore, just because a lot of stuff just was going on. Like, so, like, how was that experience? And then, like, we definitely, we made history in Niagara, man. We had fun. We set a standard at Niagara, especially when going to the NCAA tournament and they haven't been there in 35 years. Like, how did that make you feel?
First of all, I'm still salty that y'all went the year after I left too. That's absolutely bugged out. Funny story is I seen Cliff. Me and Cliff played against each other like 4 years after in France. I seen Cliff, man. And you know, Cliff's an interesting guy, man. So I seen Cliff and just seeing him and talking to him about the experience. But I think that no matter where you go, where you make a choice to go to college at, you're gonna have moments where you're saying to yourself, "This is whack. Why am I here?" Niagara used to be brick, man. I remember they canceled school one time. There wasn't no snow on the ground, and Coach Holland calling like, "Hey, that means we could get in the gym earlier." I'm like, it's freezing up here. We're away from everybody. Niagara, like, there was nothing to do in Niagara Falls. We had to go across the border and there was a whole lot that was.
We found stuff to do.
We definitely found stuff to do. But to that point, bro, again, you had your moments, but like, again, I wear my polo button up to the top because I hung around you dudes, man. I don't. It don't look right to me no more with the you know what I'm saying? Like, again, Niagara was whack. Niagara was popping. Niagara was in the middle. Like everything else, it's gonna be. You had your great points. You had your bad points. It was days where it was time to roll. After my sophomore year, man, I was ready to bounce, man. Like if this would have been now with the transfer portal, I probably would have went in the portal and then messed myself up. You know what I'm saying? But getting to play with you dudes, and then especially that year we went to the tournament, that team was magical, man. I still don't. I think that we got tight against Oklahoma. Like, the moment was there. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was the difference between us and these teams who go all the way. I know everybody think they can win, but the moment was right there, and the moment was there for us for many. Was there the 2 years before we made it to the tournament too. It was just little stuff, little things, and not being connected and not being ready to accept the challenge and do what was necessary to win. Again, attention is a killer of great teams as well. It can't, guys, talking to my Niagara career. My junior year, I came off the bench. I thought I should have been starting, but the whole thing with that is at that point it wasn't important for me to be starting. It was important to be with the fellas. It was important for us to get across that finish line. Like, I felt like at some point it was indoctrinating in me, like, this is what we got to do. This is what got to get done. And if that was what I had to do for it to get done, then that's what it was.
Let's talk about that for a minute, right? You talk about, I think you've always been a team guy. right? You put the team before your individual goals, but every year your role, in my opinion, increased, right? So like, how was that mentally? Like you kind of just said that you knew what you had to do, but like, was that taxing on you? Like every year, your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, like what was your mindset coming in when your role
First of all, I think that what a lot of young players have to do is figure out, are you getting better, right? I think that a lot of times you feel like, oh, I've been here for a while, so this this should be given to me, you know? Did you get better? My freshman year, I started like 70% of the games because um, he felt like Dave didn't appreciate the starting spot. I was offensive rebounding. I was doing all these sorts of like the things that I did, the glue work, but I really wasn't confident in my game at that point in time as well. Um, so I think that sometimes younger players need to be pulled to the side and question on what are they really doing? Like, how are you getting better? And then if you're not confident in something, are you putting in the reps to become confident in what you're doing? Like I could make a shot, but I'd be scared to shoot it because I don't want to embarrass myself. So how do you get embarrassment out of the game? You just put in a whole bunch of reps.
do you think that's the coach's job, or is it your
Yeah,
job?
it's the coach's job. But again, every situation doesn't dictate what it is. I can't, me personally, I know everybody had their own experience, but I ain't gonna say a bad word about them dudes. Them dudes got me out of North. Them dudes sent me on my way. I lived a great life because of those guys. Now, I walked in as a small forward and left as a center. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? Because again, my skill set never developed. But if your skill set isn't developing, what should you be doing to try to develop that skill set? That's a question that you got to answer yourself. It's also a question that I had overseas, which we could get into later on. But sometimes younger players don't know what they should be doing to improve. So I come in my freshman year, I'm starting. I come back sophomore year, I'm the same player. I'm not stronger, I'm not faster, I'm not any of these other sorts of things, but I feel like I should be playing. So Rennie come to school. Rennie shooting 10 threes a game. Rennie knocking down shots. Dave got his mind right. You know what I'm saying? So now the structure of the team is completely different. Now you really don't kind of need what I'm doing. We starting James Reeves. We start Juan Mendez. We start Dave Brooks. We start Lorenzo Miles and Alvin Cruz. And we running out there. And, Coach Mahalik you playing 28, 32 minutes. So I forget what the dynamic was, but I remember kind of being like the eighth guy that year, and we only playing seven. So sometimes I'm playing like between 2 and 7 minutes. So my freshman year was awesome, even though I started the game and was literally playing to maybe like I would play to like the first media, and then Dave would come in and play the rest of the half. But in my mind as a freshman, like I'm starting in college. Like I still ain't even scored 10 points in a game yet. Like I went 2 years without scoring 10 points in a game. And the reason why I say that is because think about it. I went on to have a 10-year career without scoring 10 points for the first 2 years. Like you gotta be mentally tough. You gotta understand that sometimes your role is your role, and when you get your opportunity, are you ready to pounce on
So let's jump to overseas. Like how was it finding an agent?
it? So
Did they find you, or did you find them? Like how did that work? How was that process?
so um to be frank, I won six man of the year my junior year. We went to the NCAA tournament my junior year. That's the highlight of my college career. You know what I mean? Like out of the 4 years that I was there, did I enjoy myself? But my senior year with all of that, like the way we were trending for the 3 years previously led up to that moment where we won that championship in 04, 05. And then my senior year, I was the only senior. We had to rebuild. We had dudes who felt like they waited their turn and they're gonna come in and take a whole bunch of shots this year. It was a lot going on, and we just didn't get. We didn't connect. It was just a lot going on, and the season kind of ended with a dud. I was in foul trouble all the time, trying to play center, just trying to play hard and playing more minutes. But, again, the MAC isn't super tall, but to be down there under the rim and doing this sort of stuff was all new to me. So getting overseas, I remember Coach Mahalik said, I know you still want to play basketball. Somebody contacted me about you. I hope that's the right way things are supposed to be done. You know what I'm saying? Somebody contacted me about you. I think you should go overseas. Have a good. He said this to me, and again, how messages are relayed. It depends on how you take them. Go overseas for a couple years, have a good time, come back and start coaching. Those were his exact words to me. So I signed with Courtside, who had a relationship with MAC players. This particular agency would just sign everybody in like mid-major conferences and then just place them. And then at that point, the agency was really dog eat dog, I don't really want to say like bad stuff about them, but it was more a factory rather than focused on the particular player, which is what a lot of dudes need to understand. Another thing that a lot of dudes need to understand is that your man is lying to you. Your man telling you he getting 100 G's out of college, your man's lying to you. You played in the MAC, you averaged 15 in the MAC. You're not getting 100 G's coming out of school in most cases. If you went to the Big East and got 15 a game and was second or third team, you might get 40, 50. You might get 60. You might be in that ballpark. But if your man, I always tell dudes, whenever an overseas basketball player start talking to you about money, they're lying. I'm lying to you right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to make that apparent because I see a lot of dudes still call me to this day like, yo, help me try to get on. And then I ask what the situation is. And they say to me, yo, this team in such and such called me and they was offering me $1,500, but I ain't going for that. And then I go right into my first deal was for $1,750. We played for 7 months. I don't even know what the math on that is, but that's nothing. But I'm 22 years old, 23 years old. I don't have no responsibilities. I want to go hoop. And you telling me I could go over the boat to go do it? Why am I telling you no? Why? Because my man's told me he was getting 70 G's. So I went to Holland. I played well in Holland. Made like second team all, you know what I'm saying? I did very well. I surprised myself, but the game kind of opened up more for me. You know what I'm saying? The style of basketball kind of did what it needed to do for me. Because again, in college, you're playing out of fear. Here, it's just a bunch of high-level dudes making plays, and you get to be in spaces, and they kind of relying on you to do these other sorts of things. So now you have to expand yourself in order just to survive, because they'll cut you and send you home. And then once you realize that you have an opportunity, like, oh, they'll let me do this? All right, cool. Let me see if I can get in this bag. And then the next thing you know, I averaged 17 and 11. So my career took off after that year in Holland. But coming back to your first point, the agent found me. There was no bidding war. There was one agent.
The whole career?
No. So that's a whole nother story. So
did you stay?
No. And which ultimately wound up messing me up, but then getting me back on. So I signed with this one agent. The story goes, when I played in Holland, I loved Holland. Again, but this is all comes back to being in North. Once I find one place I like, I don't like to leave. You know what I'm saying? I get to Holland. I know where the party's at. I know what time I got to be there. I know how to get around. I know what I'm doing. They speak English, so I don't have to worry about that because everybody in Holland speaks English. And there was a team that was bidding for my services. The team my man tells me, and here goes my first fault. My man tells me they're giving me 4 G's a month, which to me was, I was told that by 25, if you're not making 4 G's a month, it's time for you to go home. And then you go from there. Like that's what a dude who played overseas told me, who I respected. And he's the one who first told me everybody lying. He told me, you went to a mid-major, your senior, you average 12 points. Go over there for whatever they say, and then by 25, if you're not making 4 G's a month, you gotta get off of it. So the long story long is, This particular team in Holland was trying to sign me. I wanted to go to that team. I liked the environment. My mans told me what was going on. I knew how to operate. And the team offered me 3,200. My mans told me I could get 4. I want 4. They called back 35. Yo, and then on top of that too, while I was playing, while I'm averaging 17-11, my agent also told me next year, I think you should be making $4,000 a year. You had a great year, $4,000 a year is where your numbers should be at. But he's calling me and talking about 32, 35, 37, they get to like 38.50. We at 38.50 at this point. And I'm saying to them, they really not going to sign me over $150. I mean, 150 a month. You told me 38.50. I want 4 G's. It's not happening until I get my 4 G's. Like I'm only worth what I can negotiate. Like, so I went to sleep. I woke up in the next morning. I go on Eurobasket. A dude from my agency signed to the team that I was negotiating with. So same position, power forward, signs with the team that I'm trying to go to. And that was like a straw that broke the camel's back. So I go home, nothing really happening. And then my mans who I played with, Teron Downing, went to Wake Forest, played with Chris Paul. He was nice. The team in France was trying to get him because he was supposed to go to France the year before, broke his foot, and wound up having to go to Holland. But while they looking at Teron, I'm on the tape going crazy. So they brought me and Teron together, but I got my 4 G's a month. So it was cool, but I just thought it wasn't the right way to do business. So I wound up signing another 2-year deal with Evro. They paid me. I got the key to the city. I could have did whatever I wanted in Evro. That's still a sore spot of me leaving. And again, being immature. Like I said, what place gives you the key to the city? I could have, again, whole ceremony, whole kit and caboodle. And then when it was time for that to happen, I was working out in Jersey and another agent approached me.
Sorry, cut you off. They gave you the key to the city?
Yeah, I got the key to the city.
Damn, that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Key to the city.
Just to get the key to any damn city, but like, you overseas, and they give you the key to the city and have a whole ceremony. Like, what was that like, though?
Man, it was amazing, man. It's nothing like walking into a gym and the people in France, they don't pronounce H's. It's not like being in a spot and they all chanting Mathis, Mathis. So my mother used to come stay with me for 2 months every year while I was overseas. I was by myself. And then, you start to get like in your bag and you start to get homesick and you ain't ate a home cooked meal. It's food, you know what I'm saying? I'm in there, making whatever just to get through the day. Mom's come for 2 months, it's up. You know what I'm saying? Mom's come right after Thanksgiving or something like that. She cooking cornbread for my teammates. They never had this, you know what I'm saying? Mom's is cooking home cooked soul food meals in little ovens and stoves. You've been overseas. Overseas sometimes the amenities is cool, but like your stove never works for some reason overseas. Or you always gotta wash it, never dry it. Just goofy stuff that always be happening to you. So yeah, it's nothing like people chanting your name, man. I walk into the gym, um, you know, people are like, I'm in the supermarket, people running up to me. That's why I had to learn how to speak French to keep it 100. Like I had to learn how to speak French because I thought it was rude for these people to love me the way that they did, for these kids to love me the way that they did, and I can't say nothing back to them. Now, I expanded my vocabulary over time, but during those first 3 years, once I re-signed, I started taking French lessons, but they was trying to teach me how to read and write, which I never learned how to do, but I learned how to speak the language just by living there. You know what I mean? I learned how to count first. Then I learned how to say, I don't want this, or how to cook my steak. And then it just turned into like a sentence that turned into another thing. And then I lived there for 7 years. So now I know how to speak it. But it was disrespectful for me to be in that place with those people who love me and I can't communicate with them. So I learned how to speak it.
2 things I want to tap on. So obviously at Niagara you was inside. When I was there, you was inside strictly, right? When you got overseas and you start getting in your bag, like what part of your game expanded? Would you be able to be in the mid post? Like where was you at that you was able to operate on more than were in college?
My confidence expanded. Nothing about my game. I was always that dude. It was my confidence. My bad. I never answered your question. I'm sorry. I left my agent, signed to another agent because of that situation. And then the new agent that I hired promised me all these things and couldn't deliver on what he promised me. I wound up sitting home, chilling, and then the old agent, and also with courtside, when you're in Holland, you sign to one agent. That's the agent I signed to. But when I got to France, it was somebody else who was talking to me, some dude I never even met. Now, me and him formed a relationship, obviously. I was there for 7 years. But
he was still part of the courtside.
right.
Okay.
So every time you move to another country in courtside, there's another dude that you talk to, which I thought was whack in the first place. Like that's another reason why I left. You signed somebody else to my deal, and now I'm talking to somebody who I don't know. Me and him is cool, but I don't know him. I signed to you, and that's why I wound up leaving. Back to your other question. I hope y'all could cut this the right way. You know what I'm saying? my confidence grew when I got to Europe. There was no we all doing this. It was you're an American. It's two Americans here. Somebody better get this done. And me leaving Holland with my man's Teron Downey, who was the point guard. I knew what type of time he was on, and he knew what I was on. So I was still a dude under the rim shooting those shots and stuff like that. But I catch it in the mid post, jab, they let me shoot it. And from there, I tried to expand my game. But again, it goes back to the same thing. When it was really time to expand my game, I didn't because I wasn't confident in the player that I was. And it's because I didn't, even though I went to workouts every day, you got to have intention for why you're working out, I'm playing in the system. I know where I'm gonna get these shots at. So why in the summertime am I not taking 500 shots, in a lift? You know what I mean? We're gonna run the same transition every time. I'm open. I know I'm gonna be open every time. So why in the summertime am I doing this other stuff when I should be working on being able to lift? Because in Europe, as a four-man, if you can make the shots from the top of the break, you're getting paid. I played against dudes who, I played against a dude named Arose in Holland. If he could see the rim, the ball's going in. Will Dang, if he could see the rim, the ball's going in. And them dudes eventually, I didn't think that they were that much a level above me. It's just that if they saw the rim, it was going in. And that was the one skill that they didn't have. Now, shooting is incredibly important. If that's the one skill that you're missing, that's a big skill to be missing. But it's not only taking those shots, it's making those shots and then having the confidence to play through missing them. I didn't have the confidence to play through missing them because I didn't want to embarrass myself or make it seem like I wasn't prepared for my job, which I wasn't because I didn't put that specific work in. I put the work in, but you got to be, again, it comes back to being intentional about what you're doing.
All right, so you played 10 years. What we talked about your discipline, but like what sacrifices you felt like you made, over that 10 years, you would be able to play. A lot of cats don't make it that long.
So Europe not for everybody. That's first and foremost. Europe not for everybody, and that's why a lot of dudes don't make it. I always said that they were paying me to waste my time, because you're practicing 2-3 times a day, depending on who you play for. You're practicing 2-3 times a day, so when you really break that down, you're in the gym for maybe 5 to 6.5 hours out the day. You really don't have nothing left in the tank. So, but now you got 17 hours just of your day where you're not doing nothing or you being goofy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a big part of what was happening. I think sometimes just the boredom put me in situations where I'm like, all right, I got to go do something. And just that sort of aspect. I gave up on a lot of friendships, a lot of things. Like, one of the things I regret even talking to you guys is how we even lost touch. Like there was a minute, like I ain't seen cats in a minute, and I was just in Europe, and you don't realize how much time is going by when you're in Europe. You kind of go. We used to call it, you go, you do your bid, you do your 10 months, you come home. It's a whole nother year. I only came home in the summertime, and that's all life was to me. I got to make it back to Jersey for the summertime, which also was bad because I never took myself out of the comfort. I worked out with one trainer. Now he's my man. He got me to that point, but you never put yourself in positions to learn about other people's styles. Like if I go work out with this trainer, he may have been the one to put the spark in my back. If I go to this run and go do this thing, I'm always hooping with the same people. I'm always working out in the same environment. And I never really like traveled because when I came home, I just want to be in Newark. I just went and did my 10 months. I came home, it's lit, it's up, my friends are here. Like, let's go do this. Like, so I gave up on a lot of family time. I gave up on a lot of dreams because again, you need to value your focus more than anything. And one of the things that I regret the most about overseas is not realizing how small of a window you playing basketball actually is. 32 came so fast. It was quick. I was getting the key to the city one day, and then the next day my knee, I couldn't move my leg. Like it was 2-3 years later. Now I'm fighting, now I'm struggling to get through practices, to get through games. I got heat on. I got 2 pairs of tights. I got a knee brace on under the tight, trying to keep the leg warm and do all these other sort of things. So when you have a window and you're making that kind of money, you need to be conscious about the timing of what you're doing. You know, you need to be intentional about what you're trying to do afterwards. You need to be trying to build assets for yourself. And what I mean by that is you could come home and learn how to be a trainer for $1,000. Now you come home, you got your training cert. You can learn how to do OSHA, just anything. Just try to keep your mind sharp and do things. Or, you know, I remember I had somebody try to tell me to invest in McDonald's, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it was, yeah, like franchising McDonald's. Like, yo, I need this bread to franchise in the McDonald's. And I'm looking at it like, I'm not finna go, we about to go party. Like, I'm not giving them that kind of bread. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to give you that kind of bread. It might pop me. And then I got to go back over to just to get back right again. Like, nah, we going to party. But now looking at it, if I would have invested in things and used that stuff more wisely, now granted, I don't take a minute of what I did back. I needed every second of that, you know? And I think that's another thing that people got to understand. A lot of people out here are still chasing certain things because they never had it. You know, I was on top of the mountain. I was the king. I could do this. I could do that. So now at this stage of my life, I really understand that I don't need the attention. It's cool. I don't need to be outside chasing certain things. I'm cool because I already did that. Like I'm at a whole nother stage of my life. But I wish I'd have used this stage before to prepare myself now. I often tell young men that, especially when you're gifted physically, use your physical gifts to get your brain in places that it couldn't get its own self into on its own. You know, again, my physical gifts allowed me to speak French. My physical gifts got me a college degree. You know, I needed my physical gifts, something that God gave me to put my brain in places that it wouldn't have necessarily got. Now it could have got there, but I was allowed to be put in these positions because of my gifts. So use your gifts to set you up for later. Because you're not always going, you know, depending on what it is, you may not always have those gifts.
All right, I like that. You tell the friends that.
Yeah.
But for that 10 years though, like I know you said, you know, later on around the mid-30s where, you know, like the injuries and stuff like that, but it still was, you know, in those 7 years, like what routines and stuff that you do to still to be able to survive. I mean, like you said, you're doing 10-month bids back to back. Like what routines, diet, working out, like what was you doing and then at the end of the day, you in the paint. So you banging all games. Pause. So it's like, you know, what you know what I'm saying, what was you doing that allowed you to, you know, so have that longevity?
I don't want to sit here and give you the "we are the world" speech. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of dudes in hindsight make things seem like they were better than what they were. I was blessed because I didn't appreciate the gifts that I had. Now, when I came home, when I went to practice, when you put me in any environment it was time to work, I worked. I took that dead serious. Like, you know, if we're gonna go party, we're gonna practice just as hard as we party. You know, if I went out the night before, you best believe I'm coming in here tomorrow and I'm gonna get all of this. Like I'm gonna make sure that I came to work today.
Turning the cliff burn.
I never got to that level. I never got to that level.
There's an inside joke.
Yeah, I never got to that level. But like I said, like the crazy thing is in my latter stages of life, when I started, working out to stay in shape, I was like, man, like if I'd have been doing because we started doing hang cleans in college. When I got overseas, I ain't doing no hang cleans, man. Like I do some push-ups in the crib, but I was just naturally gifted. But being naturally gifted is what didn't keep my body sustained over that course of time too, partying too much. So my diet was whatever I could get done. We practicing for 6 hours out the day. I'm not about to come home and cook no good meal. Stuff like that. So another point that I want to make is that you asked me a question before about entourages and people around you. And I said that people need to follow you. When you on top of the mountain and everybody else realizes that you're on top of the mountain, you need to realize that people need to be put in place for you to win so that they can win, right? And what I mean by that is you shouldn't be trying to actively deter yourself from your dreams in the time being to make somebody else's dreams come true. Certain stuff got to be accomplished. You need to tell people no. You got to tell whatever you're interested in no. And if they want to be part of what they want to be part of what you're doing, then they got to be part of what you're doing. So for instance, if whatever everybody's into, if you're a basketball player and there's a young lady with you, you know what I mean? Then if she's overseas with you, then this needs to be a concerted effort about what we need to get done. And you have to learn how to be selfish in a way that people may dictate to be wrong. You only get this gift for a certain time. You've been chasing this since you was 5. I don't care what nobody else say to you. You know what I mean? When I'm doing this, the people around me, my moms, my pops, my cousins, everybody around us, the same people that you helping pay mortgages, the same people that you helping, pay that support or whatever you got to do for to feed the wolves. Right, whatever you got to do to feed the wolves need to be in position to feed you as well. You can't just keep giving and giving and giving, because what it does is it takes your focus off of what you're supposed to be doing. That was the one thing another thing about my career that I'm regretful of. I let outside entities take away my focus away from why I was there. And I think it brought my career to a close faster. So when you talk about dying and stuff like that, I was born 6'6" and 240 and looked like that. So I was blessed to be that way. But I should have been in the gym doing other things so that when Rennie tells me to go dunk on him in the NCAA tournament, I'm not tired from spreading up the court 4 times. I got enough legs to be able to finish through. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of what sports is it's a war of attrition. Are you in shape enough not to be done? Because it's going to come down to that one rebound. And a lot of times they don't have nothing to do with whether or not you're tall, you can jump or something like that. Do you got enough in the tank? Do you got heart? But building heart also comes from being in shape, because fatigue will make punks out of, I'm trying to say it right. It'll make you, fatigue will make you soft.
You a bitch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. I don't care how tough you are. If you're fatigued and you haven't trained yourself through fatigue to mentally be tough enough, you'll allow something to happen that you'll never let ride. You know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of times where I had that extra burst. I just that one little extra pop. You know what I mean? If there's something that you could do in the first minute of the game, you should be able to do it in the last minute of the game. It might not be at that level, but if you tip dunking, you should be able to tip dunk with 15 seconds left in the game too, and not catching cramps or doing stuff because you haven't trained.
But I feel like you already answered a lot of these things. France is probably your favorite place to play, right?
France is another world, man. People talk about France, and I get corrected by my French friends. I thought because I'm an athlete, I'm treated a certain type of way. My experience as a person of color, a black person, isn't the same experience as somebody else. You know what I mean? So I had to realize that too. That I talked to my friends who were French about like, yo, man, France is like, this is the best place on earth. Everybody gets along. It's none of this, none of that. And they're like, yo, you're American and you're a basketball player. Relax. You're absolutely right. You know what I mean? And I realized that. You know what I mean? So there's aspects of society that are in place in all societies, and sometimes you can be naive to what it is. But to answer your question, um, France is the place that I stayed the longest. Again, I don't like leaving nowhere. I learned how to speak French. Why would I leave any other place? Evro was my favorite place in the world. I was an hour away from Paris. I was in Paris many a night. You know what I'm saying? Paris will always have a near and dear place in my heart.
Is that we?
We pause. That's crazy. That's crazy. But France definitely treated me well. They paid well. As you know, I had my fair share of problems with the IRS and stuff in France. It was wild, but I
What
love
would you
France.
say was like so it was we talked about like a lot of stuff off the court, right? Training and stuff like that, but like it was like one of your best games.
Man, I done had some monsters, man. Like 30,
20 and
30,
20, 30
30
and 20.
34 and 17, just bugging.
What you was doing though?
Bugging, just on one. Like I had dudes telling me like, you gotta chill out. Like it's a regular season game. Why you playing that hard? Like I took that as a compliment. Y'all know me. Like it was like my demeanor on the court and my demeanor off the court were never anything alike. And them lights came on, bro. I turned into an animal. I'm gonna rebound that joint. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people not prepared for
Intensity.
that type of like I was coming. I it's a problem that I deal with in my life now. I was looking for competition. I was looking for a confrontation. That was my time to find that confrontation. I was able to confront some. I look another like you playing on the under the rim. You pause. You playing in that aspect. So you got to make sure that like if we not rebounding tonight, we literally getting pumped. Like it comes down to that. And I was not like that wasn't gonna happen around me ever. So when those lights came on, I was a different dude. So I had like 34 and 17. I think that was the most I scored in a game in Europe. I had nights where, I mean, Evro gave me the key to the city, bro. I was hooping. You know what I'm saying? I definitely, I was
What was your
hooping.
stinker over there? Yeah. What was your worst
The thing that sticks with me all the time is we played Portes in the playoffs. My third year in Evro, and that's when the light should have went off. Um, that was one of the first times I've ever seen a team like not just have a game plan for you, but it was like a focus kind of. He's not getting off tonight. Like we're stopping this today. And I had a stinker in the playoffs, and I never saw that kind of intensity. I'm just talking about on every time. Like in Europe, it's super physical, but you cut down a lane, getting chipped, hitting the ribs. The
They
guy.
had two people on you when they was boxing out.
Yeah, like you looking for a shot, you getting that's one of the worst box outs is when you looking for the ball and can't see the hit. I'm getting face blocked out, and then somebody else coming to make sure that I'm out of bounds when the ball go in the air. They not even worried about the ball. You know what I'm saying? And I had a stink of that playoffs. That was the first time it was like grown men in the gym like looking for me, and that was an experience.
He was hunting for you, didn't he?
Yeah.
He ain't hunting. Oh, man,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
All right, so
I started that too, man. Y'all had to learn that message. Yeah, y'all had to learn pause from me, man. Yeah, like, hey, yo, bro. Like, we definitely, man. Like I said, man. Again, DC dudes taught me how to dress. I taught y'all. I run the white tees outside. You know what I'm saying?
So you gonna play in Nike boots? Or you gonna say you got
No. y'all always and forever will have Nike boots. I still don't wear Nike boots to this day because me and Rennie used to be in the room arguing for like 45 minutes straight about how terrible Nike boots are. So when Nike boots came to Jersey and into the city, I'm looking at it, I'm like, absolutely not. I gotta stand on my square, bro. Rennie used to be fresh. Rennie, you know what I'm saying? Everybody get dressed to go outside and put on these big ass boots. I'm like, yo, what's those? So I wore Timbs. I'm looking at like, what's those? Like, yo, these Nike boots, Mo. I'm like, what is that, bro? It's like, I wear Nike all the time. I never seen them wear boots. It's what we do down in DC. And I was like, yo, y'all, that's terrible. So my stance has changed on it a little bit. Like I don't bother nobody about it no more. But again, standing on, me and Rennie used to have like day-long arguments about Nike boots, and I just refused to wear them off the strength of that.
Nike boots our thing, but I keep being up there. See, down here we just going straight black Nike boots.
Right.
But since I'm up there and I got mixed up with the New York style, I had brown ones.
Yeah,
I think I had a dark blue pair. I was
they was trying to make swamps.
Go?
Yeah. Nah, I wore swamps and Timbs. And Gore-Tex, but I stood strong on that. Like we used to argue about like why y'all wear our clothes like that. Again, I now wear my polo shirts the way they wore their polo shirts back in school. And I used to argue already like, yo, why your polo tight? Why your polo all the way to the top? Because I got on a 6X Galaxy. You know what I'm saying? And like after I got older, it started to make sense to me. So I was like, all right, I adapted that, but no Nike boots for your boy.
We got relations.